All right, y'all boys, we back with another video. So today we are going to be talking about the newest character on the global side. He's been around for quite some time on JP, right? And he definitely is a phenomenal character, but with the anniversary coming right around the corner, it's just like there really isn't that much reason to kind of invest any of your cubes into trying to get him, considering there's going to be absolute powerhouses that work in a lot more content than he will. So the character that we're going to be talking about today is actually going to be the Green Megumi. Now, he's probably one of the most unique, has probably one of the most unique gimmicks in the game, where Green Megumi plays around summoning his white and black divine dogs, who essentially can do follow-ups and then change Megumi's skill effects depending on which dog is active, and he would literally do massive damage just passively. He's an amazing DPS while also having the utility to work as a sub DPS or even debuffer. In most cases, you'll be using him as a sub DPS to also, get the debuffs off too, while you use another absolute powerhouse of a green character to, nuke everything, right? So first up, we're going to be looking at his auto skill. So his first passive is the same as Blue Megumi's, where he gets a 100% damage dealt increase when the enemy's in the break state. And then additionally, when his divine dogs are active, he reduces the curse energy cost of his skills by 5 for each dog, which is really good. His second passive, though, which is where it gets very interesting, is he has a follow-up mechanic very similar to where it has a 55% chance to follow up using his divine dogs, each dealing 100% damage and also debuffing them for, increased curse damage, received Jujutsu damage by 15% for 2 turns, which is very nice. These follow-ups can do massive damage just passively, right? Like you're constantly applying those and your dogs are also attacking too every time your other characters are, doing their attacks. And even though it's not super reliable, as it's only a 55% chance, it's still really strong and can clutch in a lot of scenarios. Like, you don't realize how many times you often kind of like just do so much damage for almost no reason, especially if you have other characters on your team who are buffing or debuffing. So he does a lot of damage just passively doing things. Now, how exactly does he summon his divine dogs though? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about right now. So that's going to be with his skill 2. So keep in mind, when I do talk about percentages and things like that, this is going to be based off of a level 10 skill. Mine is only at level 8. So with his skill 2, he summons the dogs. It summons both of them and increases the Jujutsu damage received by 20% for green types. So very good already. This is going to help you do a lot more damage. Now, once you summon the dogs, the skill changes and it will deal more damage. The debuff now is 30% instead of 20%, and it has a quite, I would say, very high, actually, multiplier when the dogs are out, 620%. Now, obviously, you can't see here just because, like I mentioned before, I don't have that level 10, but it's 620%. So to put it in perspective, that's basically more than Toji's skill 2. And as we know, Toji's skill 2 is probably one of the highest modifiers in the entire game. So yeah, skill 2 is to summon your divine dogs. That's going to be the bread and butter of his whole kit with his passive. So now we have skill 1. So I said last showcase that the Green Maki skill 1 is probably one of the strongest due to its insane utility. Green Megumi, on the other hand, is one of the strongest in terms of raw damage. It does the usual 150% damage as the other skill 1s, but then when his divine dogs are out, he does an additional 180% for each dog active. That's a 460% damage multiplier on a skill 1, which is free curse energy. Absolutely insane. That's a lot of damage, right? So already very good going off with the skill 2 and the skill 1 alone, right? Skill 2 is your setup, and then anything else you do is going to be insanely powerful. Now, his skill 3 is also insanely busted, right? It increases your ult gauge charge rate by 15% when using it without the divine dogs. So it's like once you summon your dogs, this skill will do like it's just crazy. Before you get that 15%, and then when you do have your divine dogs out, this skill is going to do over 900% damage multiplier, right? Over 900% with all the percentages that you tally in from all the attacks for each divine dog that you have out. And then it also increases your ultimate gauge recharge by 25% for 3 turns and lowers the selected enemy's damage by 20%. That is the most insane skill 3 I ever even seen, bro. A fucking 900% multiplier on his skill. It's the strongest non-ultimate skill in the game right after Sukuna's skill 3 and Red Nobara's skill 3. And not only is its damage top tier, but it also has utility in it that provides additional value. It's just insane. So again, I've already mentioned this before. This character's really good. I'm not trying to glaze the hell out of him, but he's really good. And but people should skip him just because Domain Expansion Gojo is going to help you like with everything. He's going to be on every team. Suguna, he's an absolute powerhouse. He's literally going to destroy everything, type advantage or type disadvantage, if you have Domain Expansion Gojo. Then we have the special. So we have the Divine Dog's Double Strike. Now his special is a big 1,500% nuke. Obviously not this one, right? Because it's not level 10. And while also bringing a bunch of utility. Now it has a bunch of text because it also works a bit different when the dogs are out, but we don't care since you'll never use your special if your dogs aren't out, right? Because your dogs should be out by the time you even have your ult, naturally. So we don't care about all the extra text of when before using the ult, like when, you know, like, you get what I'm saying. The point is the dogs are going to be out anyways by the time you use ult. So as you can see, basically the overall consensus or, you know, thought process behind this insanely cracked fucking Megumi is that he is stacked, right? Not only does he have a shit ton of utility and debuffs, but his damage multipliers are literally out of this world. Like, all of them are absurd. They made him this good right before Annie to bait y'all to summon, right? So just keep that in mind. But just resist unless you really love Megumi. Just resist, because we have Domain Expansion Gojo and Suguna, and they're going to be like meta for a long time, okay? So let's move on to the actual teams for the showcase. So the nuking team, we have, of course, we have Mai, we have Yaga, Inumaki, Green Megumi, and Green Geto. The thought process behind this is obviously Mai's going to have the follow-ups, and you're going to be debuffing the enemy like crazy. Then you have Yaga, who's also going to be buffing and debuffing the enemies. Then you have Inumaki, who's going to charge our ults rapidly for Yaga ult rapidly, so that way you could just Yaga ult as quickly as possible. And then just start spamming your skill 3 so you could get as much debuffs going as possible on the enemy so you can do even more damage. And then obviously we do have Megumi as the star and Green Geto in the back, so that way when Inumaki finally dies, Green Geto comes in, he starts debuffing, and yeah, then we start going to town and do as much damage as possible in a singular nuke with our Megumi. But keep in mind, a lot of his damage is also going to be coming from his follow-ups, so even though we do a lot of damage, let's say, on his ult, that isn't going to be a complete representation of his damage output, considering, you know, it's over the course of multiple turns. Kind of very similar to Zone Yuji, where it's hard to showcase Zone Yuji in a nuking scenario when he kills them with just his ult, and then you can't even get to see how much damage he does with his skill 3s in the extra action. So anyways, these are the team setups. Memories should be fairly obvious, trying to get Yaga's ult as fast as possible. That's why we have this. And then obviously we have support memories. This is just to get Inumaki to get attacked and get him killed off. And then obviously this is a support memory to help our Megumi do more damage. I would like to do it on Curse Sweep, or the potential bosses, as I like to call them. But Global doesn't have them just yet, and obviously Megumi works literally perfectly there, and he's perfectly suited for a fight like that. Unfortunately, we don't have it, so we can't showcase him in his peak, but we'll definitely showcase him on Tower, right? That's the next hardest thing that we got on Global. Without further ado, let me just show you the skill levels. All right, let's get into the actual showcase and get on with our life. All right, so we're here on the nuke team, same floor. We're going to be doing floor 37, except this time the one who's going to be utilizing as much damage as possible is going to be, of course, not utilizing, but doing as much damage as possible is going to be the Megumi, right? Because he's going to be the star. The main goal here is just to kind of stall. So we're just going to be using the memory straight. Actually, we could just kind of stall on the memory too, right? And we don't need to use it straight away. And we're going to be using skill 2 on Inumaki. We're going to be hopefully trying to get him to die as quickly as possible. Right, so just gonna go into this, just stalling, right? Just stalling. Skill 1, we can use this memory now, shouldn't be a problem. Skill 1 here. We'll skill 1 here, and then skill 1 again. Whatever, skill 1, skill 1, skill 1, skill 1. Alright, Inumaki's dead, whatever. We still don't have the Yaga ult yet, so we're just gonna wait a little bit longer. We're just gonna spam skill 1 still. If you could attack Yaga, that would be nice. Okay. Alright, we'll just have to tank this hit with the team then. No worries. No biggie. Okay, so we tanked it. We obviously did get debuffed, but I don't think the debuff matters too much because that's going to be 2 turns and we're still going to be doing setups. You know what I'm saying? So first off, we're just going to use the Yaga ult straight away. So Mai is going to use skill 3. Yaga's going to do his ult. King Geto's going to start debuffing with his skill 2. And then Megumi's also going to use skill 2 here. Now keep in mind, Yaga's ult is obviously going to last for like 4 turns. All right, Robin, Maya for Curse Energy, kind of getting annoying, but that's fine. We'll do another skill 3 here. We'll do skill 3 again. Skill 2 with Team Geto. And then we'll skill 2 with Megumi once more. As you can see, he's starting to do a lot of damage, just like obviously passively from follow-ups. That was 700k, by the way, just from a follow-up. Then here we're going to be using the Mai ult. We're also going to be using the memory because this is going to be lasting for 2 turns. So Mai ult with the memory. We're going to Yaga skill 3 here. And then we are going to Team Geto again, skill 2. And we're going to use the memory because the memory is going to last a few turns. So we're fine here. So we'll hit that skill 2 real quick. And we'll do another skill 2 on Megumi once more. Hopefully we can get the break, and we did. We did like 1.4 mil, by the way, on just a skill 2. And now we're going to hit with the skill 3 here on our Mai with a skill 3 on Yaga, while also hitting with the Team Geto ult alongside Megumi's ult. So this is going to be the turn that we nuke, and we'll see how much damage we do. We have him in the break status, excuse me. We'll just kind of show our buffs real quick. So we got 100% because he's in the break status. We have the damage dealt increase, right? We have the other damage dealt increase, the physical and curse increase, and then obviously the other ones from Yaga as well. And then we have a bunch of debuffs on the enemy that we're going to take a look at. So as you can see, a bunch of them, all of them just stacked up on him, bro. A lot, like literally tons and tons of debuffs. So yeah, we're going to do the damage and see how much we managed to do here. The boss shouldn't die from these 2 attacks, so we'll be able to see the full damage from these 2. I wish we did have the feature that JP has where we're able to see like the overall damage or support or anything like that. But yeah, we can't, unfortunately. Not yet. Hopefully we get that soon. All right, so Team Geto goes in, does the damage. He probably kills him here. 6.7 mil on the crit. And then we go with Megumi pulling up. I couldn't even tell how much damage he did there, but we do know that Green Geto did 6.7, so we'll kind of just base off of that. 6.7, and then we did 1 mil from a combo, so that was 7.7, then we did 17 million. Yeah, we roughly did like almost 10 million damage with the Green Megumi. So yeah, keep in mind, this isn't even factoring in all the damage that we were doing on the way to, of course, his ult and all that. Like, as you saw, once we started having all those debuffs active and everything, like every time he would hit with his follow-ups or even his skill 2, he was doing like 1.4 million. Like, he was doing a lot of damage, right? Just on his skills, because a lot of his skills have high multipliers when you have the Divine Dogs out. So yeah, again, like I mentioned, this character is phenomenal. He has those follow-ups. He's able to debuff the enemy. He does a lot of damage. He's just there passively. You're just gonna have that damage passively without actually having to do much. He's just really good in a lot of situations, being able to have all that utility while also having a lot of damage on the side. So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like for me, a lot of green characters in this game, I really love to play a lot of them, like Green Megumi, the Green Yuji, obviously after his buff, Green Geto, Hollow Purple Gojo. Like, a lot of the characters in the game that are green are like one of my favorite characters, like even Mekamaru. It's just like, yeah, I don't know, they just do something right with the green characters, at least for me. So again, I'm glad I pulled this character, and yeah, I can't wait to use him when we do have the curse sweep in the future, which should be next month, sometime next month. Anyways, I appreciate you guys for watching. That's going to be the Green Megumi Showcase. I'll see you guys in the next one. Be sure to skip this guy. Remember, go for Domain Expansion Gojo and then go for Sukuna. That's going to be the priorities. All right, peace.
さっさと次ねやればいい
行くぞ
かかってこいよカバーお願いさよな
暴れていい
ら消えな
何も奪う
まあまあやりそうだ
いつでも行けるぞ
さてぶちかますか
後ろは任せてください
カバーお願い
暴れていい
有効射程よさよ
揺るぎはし
な風穴開けてあげる
今なら俺いつでも行けるぞ
さてぶちかますか
呪連素術
ビビんなよカバーお願い
極限
悪くねえ一撃だなさよなら今なら好きに動けそうよ
集中いつでも行けるぞ
かかってこいよ口の利き方教えてあげる
あっ
さよなら
極限かわきつるぜ
さよならさよなら今なら好きに
集中していつでも行け
やるか
皆様前に集中を
カバーお願い
暴れていい
さよなら有効射程よやればいい
いつでも行けるぞ
かかってこいよカバーお願い
あっ
さよなら
俺が行く
さよならさよ
消えろそうさていつでも行けるぞ
ならやるか
進めあっ俺が行く
消えな
揺るぎはし叩き潰すさて今なら俺でもいつでも行けるぞ
さてぶちかますか
後ろは任せてください行けチャンスだ何やれやるねマキさん
いいぜ
まだ報告がある早く帰る